How's everybody doing on this fabulous Friday morning? I'm a little tired this morning, but that's all right. I got some caffeine in the fridge over there I'll probably dive into here in a minute. Today we're going over the Windows 10 Toolbox. I've actually gone into this and I've gotten a lot of emails, messages, comments on YouTube videos. One, thank you if you were one of the people that left one of those, especially on how to make things better or change Windows to the way you want it. And that's really what that is for. A lot of this customization is mainly just to be able to use your computer the way you want to. And I know some people say, hey, use another operating system, but some people just want to use Windows and like, hey, back in Windows 7, I used to do it this way. And kind of the cool thing about this toolbox is you can pretty much bring it back to how it was in the Windows 7 era. And that's kind of like the whole purpose of this. Today, there's a couple comments that stand out that we will be working on. The first comment is going to be disabling Windows updates completely. Now, I don't recommend this. I'm going to leave it as an option. It's not going to be a default setting or any of that. But a lot of people just want to be able to turn off updates completely and not have Microsoft jack around and re-enable them on you. But at the same time, if we do a disable, we got to do an enable, because you definitely should be doing updates, I would say at least every month. And I'll leave an enable and disable. So that's one thing we're going to be doing today. Another thing I'm going to be doing is I've been doing a little bit more, getting into the more competitive gaming side of things in my off time. And I've been really enjoying it. And my Moonlight solution through Linux has been less than great in this regard, because whenever you do streaming, it's great for single player games, it's great even for multiplayer games. It just adds a little bit of latency, and when you start measuring that, it ends up being about 50 milliseconds, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you get into the more competitive side of things, it does matter. And I am noticing, I've been playing here on Moonlight, and then also inside where I have it actually installed directly on the machine, and I'm noticing a difference, which I didn't think I would, because I'm old. I'm a lot older than most gamers, and 50 milliseconds, I was like, it doesn't matter. I've fought this for about a week, and it does matter. So we will be modifying my version of Windows today as well, adding gaming back in. However, I don't want to do it just the normal way. As always, I like to make things a little bit different for myself. Maybe some people say I like to make things more difficult, but I'm going to be doing like an iSCSI connection drive to it, hosting the game directly off of my iSCSI, and installing, I already have Steam installed, but we need to connect up a lot of the existing games and everything onto that, because this Windows 11 has been pretty much left bare. I haven't dual booted this machine in probably a year, pretty much since Windows 11 launched, when I made a bunch of Windows 11 videos, and I just kind of left it alone after, like, okay, well, that's a pretty bare bones install. So we're going to be using the toolbox on that today, and kind of expanding that, which will be fun. So let's see how chat is here. I hope y'all are having a great morning. Oh, so many people today. All right. Well, thanks for all the encouraging words, guys. Let's just get on the desktop here. Let's just get right into it. This is kind of what we're looking at right now. I've obviously been doing some stuff. Here was the iSCSI thing I was talking about, where I was connecting a drive up, which I probably need to, yeah, here it is. It's on the G drive. And you know what? I'm actually going to rename this. We're just going to call it the games drive. Synology Games, which is my NAS box. So let's just do that. And you'll see there's a bunch of different games and other stuff in here. Steam library, which you'll see I don't have anything installed on my Steam library, so let's add our NAS game drive in here real quick. Go to download, Steam folders, and we're just gonna add, I think it's on the G drive. Let's see, I think we can select a folder. Let's browse folder. No, they've changed this interface up again. I swear, Steam, stop changing your interface up. Yeah, there we go. Cool. So that just kind of, this is all the games I've already had installed. I've installed Windows, I don't know, more times than I can count probably on this machine. So that's why I do all the games and stuff this way. That way I can just wipe out this computer, and then, you know, whenever I go to reinstall it, it's like, oh, no big deal. So very cool. Oh, let's see here. We already are getting spammers in chat. Can't believe it. All right. Well, I can. It's YouTube. Get a lot of spam these days. What's essentially behind the Essential Tweaks tool button? Oops. Let's look. This button right here is mainly what a lot of people click on. Let's walk through what it does. I think that's always a good deal. And anything that's open source, one reason I love open source is you know exactly what it does. So let's just pull up old code here. And I don't think I even have this project cloned yet. So 1 second, we're gonna just change this up. Bear with me. I gotta go through my two-factor and get that done. And once this is all signed in, we should be good. Perfection. All right, we're signed into GitHub now. Just didn't want people seeing my sign in for obvious reasons. It would be not good. So we're gonna actually clone an existing repository, and we're gonna walk through what that essential button does. So we're gonna clone and select our Win script. I would like to change the address, but so many people have like bookmarked the thing to where when I first created the script there was only Windows 10 and now there's Windows 11. Yes, Windows 10 and Windows 11 are almost identical. You can use this script in Windows 11 as this is Windows 11. Works just as well, if not better. So, it's an important thing to distinguish. Let's take a peek at the code now that we've cloned our repository completely. And I'm also going to work on it. That's why I bothered cloning it. You don't necessarily, we could have gone to GitHub and looked at it without cloning, but let's see, where do we put that? Probably here, right? Select that folder, and here's our script. So if we look at essential tweaks, and let's just go down. Right here is where the button starts. So when you click this button, it's going to start right here. It's like creating restore point. That's the first thing it's going to do. So it's going to make a restore point on your C drive, and that way if like something inevitably goes wrong, you can restore to this restore point. The next thing it's going to do is it's going to use bits, which is just background transfer service that's built into Windows. It's how Windows updates are actually delivered, but I utilize bits to download O&O Shutup. And what O&O Shutup does, it downloads this executable, and then from O&O Shutup, it runs this config, which is just the recommended settings of O&O Shutup. If you'd like to see that, we can do this manually by just grabbing it, copying, and actually let's check downloads. It might actually be in our downloads folder. We have O&O Shutup. Nope, that's fine. Let's just grab that real quick. You'll see it's downloading this. We'll run O&O Shutup, and you can see it's already run. But what it does is it usually just goes actions, apply only recommended actions. We're not going to do a restore point, and it will just do the recommended actions of it, which will basically make your store functional. Windows updates won't get touched, all these things, because if you just do actions and you apply all settings or recommended and somewhat, things will break. Typically recommended and somewhat is going to jack up things in your Windows Store. Applying all settings is going to jack up the store completely and also mess up your updates. That's why I only usually do the recommended settings, as I usually have a pretty good time with that. But it does disable like user activity, privacy, security. A lot of telemetry is actually done pretty good. Another thing that if you do the yellow and red settings here, it will disable like camera and microphone. So if you're on Discord, you're gonna have problems. So that's why I only do recommended settings. I try to make my settings as safe as possible for everyone to use, no matter your situation. So even though there's ways to make things even more secure, more private, more or more performant, you can do that. So that's why I do it that way. So that's the first thing that script does. Coming back in the script, let's keep walking through it. Then we start going into telemetry. Anytime you see set item property, we're adding a registry entry. This actually just says, hey, oops, let's not change that. Allow telemetry. 0 means no, don't allow it. Data collection says 0, don't allow it. And then it goes through like compatibility appraiser. Compatibility appraiser, this is something that runs on a scheduled thing on your system and actually slows down your system. And honestly, the compatibility, meaning if you run an old program, it'll try and run like a compatibility analyzer to figure out what's up. These are awful. They never really work, and most programs that are that old can be problematic and have their own troubleshooting steps to get working on a modern day of Windows. So I don't know. It's just something Microsoft made that never really has worked very well, and I just disable it. Program data updater, just a background thing. Proxy services. Most people don't have any proxy servers. Customer improvement program. Basically, this is another version of telemetry, meaning they're tracking how you're using your program and then consolidating that, reporting it. We don't want that, so we disable that task. Moving back, disk diagnostic. Data collector, basically what things you're running on your disk, how you're using your disk, those types of things. Allow hotspot reporting. This is actually a really interesting thing. Most people don't realize your phones, I don't like talking about security and privacy just because 99.9999% of the population can never be secure or private. It's just facts of how the world is today. And one big reason why I say that is our phones, one, have this built in, which you can't turn off, and that's the hotspot recording. And what it does is as you travel on your computer, it kind of does it. If you even have Wi-Fi in your computer, it doesn't really matter. I disable it obviously here, but a little segue here into how hotspot reporting works is on your phone, as you're traveling or moving across, it records all the different Wi-Fi that you're running into and your geolocation. So it's mapping out, all big tech has this, it's mapping out all the different Wi-Fi that's located in the world. And it's easy to pinpoint where those Wi-Fi things are located, and it makes it very easy to track pretty much anybody and everybody. A lot of people have Wi-Fi turned on by default, especially from like their ISP, and it's really easy to identify certain computers through this method. So very easy to track pretty much anybody and everybody using hotspot reporting, and your phones are really the ones that are really bad about it, but I want to take that off of our desktops because why? That's like, why is that? Why do I need to disable that? That's silly. It's even a thing. Same thing here. Auto connect. App suggestions. This is actually all of this is paid content. Microsoft contracts with applications like the Candy Crushes of Windows 10 and all these things. The Adobe, I think, has a contract with Microsoft. Some other ones, they actually pay to install apps on the operating system you pay for. So that's what this does. It disables those app suggestions, and those people that pay Microsoft to install the app on your machine, it basically disables that suggestion. So your operating system can't suggest paid sponsorship content. Cloud content. Just go ahead and disable that. Moving on, system. This is activity feed, publish user activities, upload user activities. This is more in the realm of, I think Xbox ties into this. So like if you want to say, hey, I'm playing this game type of thing, it can actually do that. But it also, I think it publishes some other stuff too, but I disable all of that. Location tracking. This is actually if you had Wi-Fi or any kind of geolocation on your PC, it'll disable that. It might need that for a Maps app if you were going to do maps on your computer. That'd be a good location. One thing you might not want to do that essential tracking on. More location garbage, maps, and that about it. More data collection down here. And it's like more of the same. I'm going to move a little bit faster. Error reporting, I always disable this just because, again, error reporting. I've never seen anything beneficial come from error reporting from a user point of view. And since people running this is going to probably amount to maybe 1% of the population or less, I don't feel bad about disabling error reporting. Makes things a little bit faster. And honestly, if an application crashes, it'll just go ahead and crash and not have to gather all those to send it back to Microsoft. You don't do that. P2P networking. Microsoft got a black eye when Windows 10 launched because of P2P networking. Basically, what they were doing on launch was using you as a torrent node to share Windows updates because their servers couldn't distribute all the updates in a timely and fashion. So what they did was use everybody out there, every computer out there, to use your bandwidth in your hardware to share Windows updates to other people. This basically disables that capability to where you can share Windows updates to your local network if you so enable that option. This does not enable that option. It just disables that functionality completely, but it will only allow you to do it to your local network, so you're not sharing Windows updates with Jim Bob down the road. And DO download mode, diagnostics tracking service. I mean, again, more of the same, more telemetry services, WAP push service. WAP is something that was barely ever used. I think a couple people used WAP, but basically what it was is a button on your router. You push it, and then you come back, and then you could hit like a WAP service to connect your Wi-Fi without enabling, like having to do a password and all this other stuff. Why I disable that is, one, nobody really uses it, but two, it had a huge amount of vulnerabilities and flaws, and a lot of hackers use that to gain access into a lot of systems, so it was considered as more of a security vulnerability than a quality of life that no one really used. Home group listener. Home group's awful. Don't ever use home group. I think Windows 11 pretty much disabled and got rid of home group. I'm not sure. Let's see. I'm curious on this one because a lot of people don't know a lot of these backgrounds of Windows. So as I go through, I'm a little bit nonchalant about it just because I've dealt with it for so long that, yeah. It does look like home group finally did get the axe in Windows 11. So that's a benefit. Yeah, it does look like home groups was 86th. so no home groups in Windows 11. That is where Windows 11 is better than Windows 10, is I've absolutely hated home groups. They were just an awful implementation of local network sharing, basically, that never really worked right. Remote assistance, also something that barely ever gets used. Most people use like TeamViewer or a variety of different other tools to use any kind of remote assistance. I don't know. Fun fact about remote assistance. This is how bad it is. If you call into Microsoft and you get like a tier 2 support, like if you're a business with like a Windows Server issue and you have to talk to someone that like knows something, not just some random guy reading a script at a call center, these people will not use remote assistance. Not even Microsoft uses remote assistance. They actually contract through LogMeIn and use LogMeIn's feature. So even Microsoft doesn't use remote assistance. So why is it a thing, and why is it still there? That should be actually removed. Storage sense, debatable on this one. This is a personal preference that I've kind of just added into the Essential service. Some people like storage sense. I don't. When it was first announced in 1809 in Windows 10, it deleted everybody's files. That was a funny headline. Ever since then, I just don't trust the service. Maybe one day we'll re-enable that one. Superfetch. Most I think it was meant as a service for underperforming and low memory systems to speed them up. I don't think I've ever seen Superfetch work the way Microsoft intended it to work, so therefore I've disabled Superfetch. Disabling hibernation, I do disable hibernation in the script. I do it this method, but you could also do it through something called Power CFG. So if you got something like this, we can do Power CFG. You can actually change it through this little add-on, which is kind of cool. So you can actually add power schemes, like if you want like ultra performance or high performance. Speaking of which, what is my performance on this machine? Performance mode should be best performance, but honestly, I don't even like this method. I really prefer a little bit more control of my power. So we're gonna go power options, show power. Usually I go into high performance here and display usually 2 hours. If I'm like on a remote or a controller, sometimes it doesn't register. And change advanced power settings. Turn off disk. I like that at 60 minutes. Wireless adapter, I don't have one. Sleep, never. Hybrid sleep, off. Hibernate after, never. I kind of like to granularly go through all of these specific things. USB selective suspend. This usually causes more problems with waking and putting to sleep USB devices. It uses like maybe two watts of power. I mean, maybe 5 watts if you have a ton of stuff plugged in. Not something I like to mess with. Processor management. You might see this on a laptop where you might change your minimum processor state to like 50%. And then on some laptops, I might even put 90% for maximum if it's one of those that gets like really, really hot. I like to actually throttle that max supply. So it does affect performance if you mess with that. I obviously for desktop I'll leave it 100, but just good to know. Turn off display. Everything else here looks gravy, but very important to do. There's also another performance plan. Oh gosh, what was it called? Enable. I think it was like ultra performance. Power CFG. Where is that at? If you're missing the high performance plan, let's come into here. You can actually duplicate the scheme. So this Power CFG will add that high performance. So if you're on home and you're like, God, I don't have the high performance that Titus showed in this video or this live stream, copy that. You can actually add some. There's actually one I really like to use, which usually I do this one for high performance, but there's one for Ryzen specific CPUs that you can do, which is neat. I forget what it was called. I think it was like Ryzen high performance. What was it? Ryzen high performance power CFG. Sometimes I use that one. No. Who watches YouTube videos? Come on, give me the good stuff here. Yeah, where's the, nope. Kind of interesting. This is a 1709 balanced power plan. PS1, that's not really what I want though. There's low power. And then ultimate performance. That's great. Off a random Google Drive. We probably won't use that. But there are some really cool power plans out there. We're just going to stick with the defaults today. I don't want to go too crazy. Too far into the weeds here. Ultimate power. But it's neat. You can actually do, just to show this, Power CFG H off. And that turns hibernation off. I just went down a little bit of a rabbit hole there just because I thought of that. Getting back into our scripts. We're still on the essential tweaks here. Fly out menu settings. This is just more of a delay kind of thing in hibernation that we talked about. Task manager details. If we hold control shift escape, we get right into task manager. Some people still do like control delete. Don't be that person. Control shift escape. You'll thank me later. What this does is it shows details by thing. If you actually look here, I think you can actually go back to the old one. I can't remember. I think it was double clicking somewhere gets you there. Fewer details, I think. Yeah. So by default, you'll see like the Fisher Price version for regular users. Just hit more details, and that's all that does. It just makes it so you don't have to hit more details. It just does this by default. I really like this. Cool thing, you can actually change to see your processors. Other cool stuff here. Just know you can right click a lot of these graphs, kind of drill down a little bit. Very nice. And then the details, if I'm like trying to hunt down a process, sometimes I'll come into here, like sometimes I'm like, is Edge still installed? Yeah, it probably got reinstalled with an update. Speaking of Edge, let's see. If I go debloat Windows 10, does that launch an Edge? Yeah, it's launching Edge. Let's fix that real fast. I hate that. That's another setting in Windows. We're gonna come back to the essential tweaks as I go through this. I'm just remembering all the things I need to do to this box, and it's easier for me to do it live while y'all are watching. Search deflector is what I use to get rid of this. A lot of the programs I use in Windows nowadays, a lot of people know me as the Linux guy. A lot of times I take a lot of the principles of Linux and then bring them back into Windows and use open source projects, which is cool. So Search Deflector is on GitHub, which is cool. Instead of trying to download releases and doing it the Windows way, where you go to a website and download an executable file, I kind of want to get people on board with just doing it through terminal, which is Wingit, search, and then we're going to do Search Deflector and see what pops up. Does it give me anything? It does. And then instead of doing it through there, we can just come right here, right click, and then this goes out to GitHub, downloads it from the releases, launches the executable, installs the program, and it's done. So that's pretty cool. We need to add this to our toolbox. So we're going to come back to that. I'm going to leave that tab open, but needless to say, we now have Search Deflector right here, and we're going to change this to Brave, apply, close, and now if we go debloat Windows 10, it's still launching an Edge. Ew. SOB. All right. Well, that would have been cool if it worked. Let's go into settings, default, apps, Brave, switch anyways. Now I need to, I've done scripts to get rid of like Edge's dependency and how it just basically takes over here. And actually that shouldn't even be that. I need a proper PDF. We're going to use Sumatra PDF for my PDF, default PDF opener. Let's just do that. And you can see that process over here. All right, good. So now Sumatra, okay. And let's see if there's anything else. Yeah, that's all Brave. All right. And I might need a reboot for that Search Deflector to completely work too. Let's try it one more time, but yeah, it's still gonna launch Brave. Probably needs a reboot after the Search Deflector. Let's see, I'm gonna see if I'm missing anything in chat real fast. Let's see here. Yeah, Sign-In had it there with the duplicate power scheme for ultra high. Let's see, can I take that? Oh, I can, sweet. Ultimate performance. That was it. Thank you, chat. Thanks, Sign-In. You're the man. Let's come back into not that. Again, they kind of hide this in Windows 11. But it's still there. Just know if there's something that you remember from like Windows 7, it's still there. It might just be hidden. because it never really does it. Ultimate performance, yes. That's what we're talking about. Yeah. Still, even in ultimate performance, they still like to do that USB select service. Everything else looks fine, though. It's cool. Yeah, actually, tomorrow I'm doing a browser comparison where I do speed tests in all of them. That's going to be a fun one. I didn't give Brave a fair shake in that video. I'm sure I'm going to get crap about that, but I really didn't feel like wiping out my Brave so I could get a proper reading on it. Have you considered a script to run after a Windows update to eliminate junk? Yeah, I mean, you can manually run this script on. That's a good one. It's just, I would say after every major feature update, you got to do it. Now, the big thing, the big question mark I have, and we're coming up on about 6 months of Windows 11, is are we still going to be getting that twice a year feature update for Windows 11 where they reinstall and re-bloat up our Windows after debloating it, like we have in Windows 10? And that's where I'm curious, because how Windows 10 started out, I don't know if people remember, but it was getting steadily better until about 1709 was peak Windows 10. I loved Windows 10 at 1709. I was able to strip out so much stuff, and it was just a fantastic experience. And then after 1709, it was just downhill from there. Like every single update seemed to make Windows worse. And very few good features were added, and a lot more bloat, a lot more changes, specifically with the design aesthetic, and a lot of services and things that I no longer could disable or remove, and it just vastly increased the footprint of an optimized Windows. Which, if you're not familiar with the release schedule of that would have been about 2017 era. And then 1803 came out, which was bad. That's not as bad as 1809, where they started deleting files. Using storage sense was one thing that was added. Then 1903 came out, and more problems. And then 1909, I think it was. And then finally it got to 2004. And then the naming convention schemes of the feature updates were funky. And then finally they standardized it with like 20H1 and 20H2 and 21H1, 20H2, so on and so forth. But that's how many feature updates there's been in Windows 10 since 1709. It's almost, and those feature updates were substantial. That's why I always recommend putting them off. And if you're interested in not doing it, just hit security updates only, and that's gonna put sane settings, but basically that means no feature updates. So when those big updates hit, you're not gonna get completely messed over. Do you think BetterFS would be a standard on Windows? You can actually install BetterFS on Windows. That's a good question. If you look on BetterFS Windows, there's a way to do it. There's an open source WinBTFS. I haven't done this. It was actually, I think, part of React OS. But I think you can do this and install Windows 10 on it and have a BetterFS version of it. And some people, if you're a Windows user, you're like, what the hell is he talking about? It's basically a file system that's not 3 decades old like NTFS. NTFS is what Windows uses, and it's archaic, old, and bad. And you might be thinking, why does Windows use this? And it's because they own the patents for it. And yeah, that's about it. It's more from licensing, not a functionality or technical perspective. There's no benefit to NTFS other than a lot of their servers. And I just made a video about SMB protocol, which is file sharing. A lot of the permissions and privileges uses something called ACLS or ACS. And that advanced permissions factors heavily on NTFS. So they're never really going to get away from NTFS, I don't think. But using WinBetterFS, I'd be curious to see how that works. It's something like I want to dive into and make a video about someday, but There's going to be probably like 5 people that want to know about that. I mean, it would be fun though. I might get into that. All right, getting back into the script. I get a little ADD, sorry. More task manager tweaks, file manager operations. That's just like when you copy a file, it shows the details with the nice little graph instead of, hey, it's going to be done, and and they'll lie to you about the time. It's kind of funny. Enthusiast mode, hide task view button. That's like this button down here somewhere that's now hidden because I've already run this. Hide tray icons, numlock on startup, because who doesn't want numlock on startup? I guess you might remove this if you are a laptop user. I say that, but now I just thought of an idea where if you're a laptop user, you would want numlock off, because then half your keyboard turns into a numlock, which is not good. And I think I added that in here. No, I didn't. Oh, crap. Laptop numlock fix is what we're gonna have to make. We need to do that. It's kind of cool going back through my code here just so we know. So let's see here. Initial keyboard indicators. And what we'll do is probably just add this type right here. And I want to say that value is going to be 0. Keyboard indicators, numlock. Yeah, it should be 0. Initial keyboard 0. Numlock is turned off on startup. So what we'll do is we'll change that if-then statement. We'll change this value to 0. We'll copy that. And 1 second. Let me get to a new one. And we'll call this laptop numlock. I remember seeing an issue about this. Someone wrote something on GitHub, and I was like, oh, I need to fix that. And then I never did. Shocking. I got sidetracked. It happens. All right, so then we're going to change this value to a 0. And then we're going to just change this from a not statement to that statement. We probably don't need these outer brackets. I'll leave them. Who cares? And basically that means, is numlock turned on? It'll turn it off. It'll also set the registry value to turn it off by default. So those laptop users will be fine. Let's install our PowerShell extension too. I haven't done that yet. Let's see, maybe add an XMPP app. XMPP is not really used. I think that's depreciated at this point for protocol wise. Let's see, anything else? Is this a Windows 11 supercharger? Pretty much, thanks Tails. Let's see. Oh, you did use it. It's okay. I mean, that's not exactly a flying endorsement, but hey. Yeah, and a lot of that is because it just doesn't have nearly the overhead of NTFS. The journaling system of NTFS slows things down. Like if you ever had a hard reset or you lost power and you had to turn your computer back on, you'll be like, oh, fixing NTFS, and it'll go through the journaling. You don't see that in a lot of file systems. That's an NTFS thing. And then obviously I already talked about the privileges. It's kind of interesting. Well, hello from Dallas, Texas. How's Debbie and Titus going? I've kind of taken a back seat on that for now. I switched back to Arch for a bit, was using KDE, and then, I don't know, I got sidetracked. But I'll eventually come back to it. I never completely abandon a project, just sometimes it kind of sits there on ice for a little bit. Every time. I love GNU Linux. Oh, man. Hello from Turkey. All right, man. Got a whole world here. I'm waiting for EXT5 at this point. Yeah, I don't know if the EXT5 is going to be a thing. It'd be interesting. What happened to Arch? It's just on my other drive. Did you fix the Arch Titus sudo bug? I'm not familiar with that bug. I am running Arch Titus. I did install my Arch system using Arch Titus, but I haven't revisited it. I need to go back and check that out. Maybe next week I'll revisit that. But I really did want to revisit redoing the Pi as well. Can I send you a terminal command? Well, you can, but I doubt I'll run it and if it's something bad. All right. That's pretty good. Oh, moving back into here, we got that. Laptop numlock. So we've pretty much fixed the numlock indicator for those that use laptops. I wanted to make a button for those guys. Coming back, where were we? Right here. We were close to end. Explorer view to this PC. So when you pop up this on normal PCs, you see how it's on this PC. By default, the screen you usually see is going to be this quick access machine. Quick access just shows like your recent files that you've used on the machine, and I really don't like this this view. So what that does, and if you want to do this manually, like everything in here, like let's say you don't trust some random guy like myself on YouTube, which you really shouldn't, I think you should do this yourself. And what you do is open File Explorer to this PC. So all this registry setting does is it does all these customizations to make Windows sane, I think. My kind of settings that I'm used to and that I think are better than what Microsoft does by stock defaults. You can do every setting that I'm talking about today, or pretty much every setting, through the GUI by just coming into a lot of these, like showing icons. A lot of that is coming into your taskbar settings and going, hey, what do I want here? It removes like task view. We talked about that earlier. Widgets and chat, yeah, that's a little more funky. But I also need to activate Windows. I'll do that after I get offline here. But this just changes it to this PC, so you immediately open to this view instead of your quick access view. So that's all that's doing. 3D objects, not really utilized or used. Network tweaks, this is changing the IRP stack size. I made a video about this a while back where it basically, you'll notice like transfer rates on Windows is typically slower than Linux for a variety of reasons. I made a video about SMB versus NFS, where if you're using like NFS and Linux, it's obviously going to transfer faster over the network. But also Windows changes things on the networking stack to where it's slower than a lot of Unix counterparts. Like if it's on Mac or Linux or any other operating system, BSD, for example, these are usually faster than Windows. And this helps modify some of those and tweaks it a little bit. So it has less reservation for your Windows services, which I find good. SVC hosts. This is kind of like the rootkit that's built into Windows. If you ever come into like details, you can actually come down into here and you'll see you have a whole bunch of SVC host tabs and you're like, what is that? And that exe file is basically embedded a whole bunch of different processes that's going to happen on your system. And you might be thinking, how do you see what's inside that? And you can. You just can't do it by defaults in Windows. But Windows does make a tool for sysadmins because there's times where you get a virus and you get a rootkit or a variety of different things, and you need to see it. And I made a video, I think a while back about this. I think I probably need to revisit this because it's been probably a year or so. But when I was researching viruses or how to fix viruses on the fly, that, you know, maybe 0 days that happen, I would use this. So I think, do I even have my drive on here? I don't. Well, poop sticks. All right. Let's go into home, Titus, drive, tools. I think I still have something installed here to do exactly that. TCP view is an interesting one too. Kind of like the same, but this, instead of seeing what's happening on your system, you can see what is being established with what website, what ports are being used. So this is a really good tool to see what is using what port, what is communicating in the internet. And it's good to just kind of browse through here. And if there's something in here, you're like, what is going on with my system? You can always kind of trace it back to here. So if you feel like you're part of a botnet, or you're a zombie, your computer's part of that, where it's communicating with a bunch of different things. TCP view, it's part of sysinternals, which is actually, I think Microsoft bought out all this stuff, and it's just for free on their website. So you can actually go to Microsoft.com and download this. And it just shows you every port that's being utilized and what it's being utilized to on your local network and the internet. So that's a really cool tool. So TCP for that, but that's not the tool I wanted to show you. I think it was Processor Explorer right here is what I want, because I wanted to show you what SVC host is embedded. So you can see all the different things that they're using SVC host and embedding processes within. You can't see this through the default viewer, but using Processor Explorer, which again, part of sysinternals, which is free from Microsoft. Again, download it from Microsoft.com. And you can see what all is being used. Like Power Toys is actually embedded into this SVC host process. Start menu experience is embedded in this. So when you click this, it's actually running some of these sub processes. And it looks like it also is now embedding the antivirus program, which is Windows Defender. And not too much else, like a search indexer here, which probably should disable search. I'm not a big search advocate. I don't like search on my system. It slows it down. All right, but a fun fact. But this right here, getting back to our script, it kind of went off on a little tangent, but this basically limits SVC processes and tries to cull them down so it doesn't use as much memory. So this little line of code basically says, hey, optimize SVC host for your system and its memory processes, and make sure it splits SVC host when it hits a certain threshold, and it changes all this based on your RAM. So this right here sets the RAM variable based on your system. It finds this property on your system, and then it divides it by 1 kilobyte, and then it sets this product, or this certain registry key accordingly, so it better optimizes your system for those system processes that run. You might be thinking, why didn't Microsoft do this? And well, that's a good question. Because it's Microsoft. Disable news and interest. This was just extra junk that was added, and I think in 21H2 or 21H1, and it just disables that button down here that was like, here's the latest news from MSNBC, and I'm like, I don't want that crap. I don't want to know the weather. I can go to the Weather Channel myself if I wanted to do that. Let's see here. Auto loggers, obviously, don't want to do any logging. Stopping that. Diagnostic tracking service. Again, this stuff is just really rarely ever used and rarely beneficial to almost any user. And then it takes all these extra services, which this is where it starts to cull down the process count. If we go to services.msc and you look at all the services on here, instead of straight up disabling, like most people would recommend, I set everything to manual. So I find services that I don't think many people will use in most circumstances, and I set them to not start. But I don't disable them. So what that does is if you do need that service, it will start up. But it's not going to just say, no, it can't start. So what that does is it cools down the processes without me getting just inundated with people going, my Bluetooth's broken, or I can't connect to my Wi-Fi because it's disabled that service. It just set it to manual, and then when you go to use it, it'll start that service, which these services start pretty darn fast, and they don't need to auto start on launch. I think it's silly to have all these services running in the background when most, if not all, will rarely, if ever, get used. So all of these services are set to manual. By default, these are set to automatic in Windows. And that's how your services count goes from, like, I don't even know how many services I'm running right now. Let's take a peek. I'm at 136 processes right now with all this stuff open. Typically, you'd be closer to 200 processes, probably over. And this cools down all that stuff that gets installed and ran on startup when you don't need many of it. So that's what that does. And that's about it. It gets down here and just sets this to manual state. And that's the end of the essential tweaks. So that's all it does. It's really not that much. And it sounds like, well, we're about an hour into the stream, so I guess it is a little bit. But it's, I think, a good way to make Windows manageable. So now we need to add a couple things. First off, that laptop numlock, we need to add that to fix those that have numlock on their laptops. That was one thing. So let's start designing a little bit. I use Posh GUI tools. I know a lot of people are like, come on, Titus, you should manually program all this. And maybe if I had all the time in the world, I would. Let me log in here. Once I log in, I'll come back. All right, we're back. We're just going to go into my projects and come into a toolbox. And basically what I do is I use a logic designer to basically do the GUI. I'm more of a technical guy, where if I was doing this in a business, I would write this script to just run. And it would just do everything I want it to do, and there would be no GUI. So this is actually one of the first attempts I've ever done at a graphic user interface. That's why it looks the way it looks. So don't hate me for it. I just, yeah, it's one of those things. So what we'll do is we just copy that, take it down, and I usually just eyeball it a little bit. I know it's not 100%. That's going to drive some people with like OCD crazy, but oh well. Laptop numlock. Was that fix on that? Yeah, just laptop numlock. That's the name of it. That's going to call this script. And then this is going to be laptop numlock fix. And that's just going to run that script. And if we look like NFS, button 1. Why is that button 1? Old system panel. I think that's incorrect, actually. Let's look at our code. I think I put those panels towards the end here. Old system panel. Yeah, that should be old system panel. That's sysdm.cpl. If you're wondering what these are, like, again, you don't need this script. sysdm.cpl. This brings back the old system properties. So what I like to do out of this is like add and remove computers to domains. I find it easier from the old panel. Another really cool thing is changing device installers to where you hit no and it makes it to where it won't download and install the driver for your system. On startup, this is nice when you first install your system, but Windows is known to install the worst driver for your box, your system, and it's best to you keep up with it. So you could always make sure Windows Update doesn't mess that up for you. Performance settings. This is actually part of the performance button over here. You can do that. A lot of times you might change like your paging file down here. I have mine set to auto do it. I don't really care too much about that. But you can do that, adjust for background services. Those are really only used in the server environment. Typically, people want the performance optimized for the programs. Dep, not really used or modified. Sometimes if you have a lot of crashes and you don't want to do memory dumps, or you're having a lot of issues and you already have the memory dumps, you can actually turn this off. If that I explained the video a little bit back. I don't think it did very well, but blue screens of death, or I don't even think they're called BSODs anymore, but you could use this memory dump file, and there's programs out there that'll read that dump file, and then it'll kind of tell you what driver is causing the problem, and then you can isolate that driver and find a newer driver to fix it, or maybe revert to an older driver to fix it. And a lot of times you would do that by reading your memory dump file. So I always say you might not want to turn this off. However, most people will never use this. And yeah, you can just pick your poison there. System restore. You can change this. I don't like system restore. I think it's garbage, but I know some people use it. Remote. I'm not going to allow any remote assistance or remote. So anyways, that's the old system panel, and that should be labeled accordingly. And laptop numlock, sound panel, yeah, okay. That's good. So we've actually found a bug while we were doing this. And, oh, you know what? I do need to install NFS on this, as I will be using that for my shares. Let's do that, and I'll catch up with chat. Someone asked what am I up today? All the Windows Toolbox today. We need to go to the issue section and actually do that after our first commit. Adding enable low in device mode processes per site to the Brave shortcut process. Improves memory usage a lot. It's good to know, Simon. Let's see. You make a partial scripting tutorial. Yeah, I probably should at some point in time. Trying to think of the best way to do it. A lot of times I don't think I'm the best teacher. I always get frustrated, but usually I can make a bite-sized sampling for YouTube, at least enough to get you started. I don't think I'm the best teacher of it, but there's many people that are far more gifted than me when it comes to top-down programming and scripting. I've done a lot of scripts, but I'm not a programmer. I did do a lot of programming back in high school in the 90s, but my professional career has mainly been system administration and infrastructure work. Yeah, there was actually in the test branch, I think we're still testing out like a GUI selection tool for that specific partition editor. Yeah, you can do it right now, J-Rock. Everything's open source. Every project I do, you can easily just go grab and do your own thing. I've seen a lot of my code pop up in a variety of different places on the internet. Sometimes they credit me, sometimes they don't, but that's just the nature of giving away your stuff. And a lot of times by watching a video or people just donating, That's how I make most of my money, and I'm really happy with that arrangement. So test away, use it, abuse it for whatever needs you want. I put I think the least restrictive license on it that I possibly could, so you could use it for commercial use if you wanted. I think I did an MIT license on it, so you could even take it and do anything. I don't care. I just do it for fun and for the clicks, for the views. Let's see here. The recommendation section in the start menu sucks. You're not wrong. You're not wrong there, Jed. I agree. I agree 100%, man. That's funny. All right. Moving on. Oh, let's see. Moving on here. So we got laptop in, and now I did want to do the main thing today was people that wanted to disable updates. And again, not recommended. I don't recommend you disabling updates. Use my sane settings that is used in businesses across the world for just grabbing security updates. It makes it to where you don't have massive updates on restart, and it just grabs those security updates. However, a lot of people have asked, and if enough people ask, I listen. And enough people have asked, hey, we want to disable updates completely in Windows. We just hate Microsoft so much, but we are obsessed with Windows that we want to do this. So let's do that. We'll grab these. We'll put it like, yeah. We'll put this one towards the bottom, and this one. Yeah, we'll put it right here. Why not? I know it's not the best. We'll call this one enable updates. We'll call this one disable updates. So in this button, we'll call this one disable update services. And then we probably need to add a little bit of a warning here. Let's just grab this guy. And we're just going to call this one not recommended. And let's make that very clear. I don't recommend disabling updates, but if you want to do it, that's on you. All right. All right. I think that's pretty clear. So now let's get some scripts to rip out and remove Windows updates, right? There's a lot of ways to go about doing this. I want to be the least intrusive as possible so we can repair it and re-enable it. So probably finding Windows updates and its dependencies is the best way to do this. I would say, let's just take a peek here. We could grab somebody else's script online, or we could just come down into Windows Update. Let's go Properties, Dependencies. Don't disable RPC. That would be bad. I do want to think that we can get rid of disable the Windows Update service is one way of going about it. But typically that just gets re-enabled, and it's a startup check nowadays. Probably some dependencies that aren't listed here are bits, which we talked about, background intelligent transfer service. Let's see how everybody else is doing it. Disable Windows updates PS1 file. Here's a gist. So this person's doing it through there. That's just disabling the service. That's actually not a great way of going about doing it through a PS1 file, because you're doing an executable instead of doing the PowerShell portion of it. And then you have this registry is also like, this is like a batch file, not a PS1 file. So that's actually not a very good gist. Interesting way of doing it. Like I say, I always like looking at other ways that folks have done it. I would say that's not a great way. Here we go. This looks a bit more on the path we want to take. So this moves through. This is just, looks like a GUI portion. Looking at setting the registry path. It looks like the correct path to set it in PowerShell. New item properties. Keep my windows up to date. Oh, this is so well documented. See, this is the code that is good. The other code was just hacky and ugh, made me feel dirty. And this one is just so beautifully done. Let's see. Value there. I think we'll jack this code. We'll just grab that guy. Bring it into here, our system here. What's this one? Windows Update Fix. We'll call this one Disable Updates. Dot add click. And we'll do our curly brackets. Let's we'll come back. Let's give some credit where credit is due, though. If I ever grab code from somewhere, I like to at least copy the source so people know where I got it from. A lot of this code I did not write. I just looked at it and I'm like, that's good code. That person's on the ball. So I usually do a source and toss their original code there, and then I modify it to my needs. So then if I ever, let's say they update their code, I can go back to that source, or someone looks at mine and goes, hey, did Titus write all this? And they can go, oh no, this section was sourced from this file. So that's why I do it that way. And now let's take a peek what we got. Auto updates. We want to put this to disabled. That's good. Automatically download. Keep my computer up to date. Has been disabled in automatic updates. All right, so we'd want 1 for this value. Disable Windows Update Delivery Optimization. You'd want 0. All right. And that should get us pretty much there for the registry settings. Now let's also fix the services. So you saw that other file that person was trying to do a PS1 file with disabling services, but they're kind of going about it. No, they were going about it the wrong way. So what we want to do is, we've already done this up in the script here. And what we're going to do is kind of grab that, that portion of the script. I think I did it where we're just going to list all of them right here. And instead of saying manual, we're going to go disabled with it. So we'll grab this. And copy that. And we're just going to go control and my N buttons all the way over here. We're just going to go old school. And now we just take care of the services. So we already have the code written for most of this. We're just going to make this better. For Windows Update. And what we're going to do is change manual to disabled. Disabled. And try and change anything else in here. And now what we do is just list our services. Now I should have looked at what is that? Yeah, it's just question marks, new line. All right, double quotes, new line is the syntax. No commas or anything. All right, good. So as we make this array, our first service that we're gonna grab is gonna be our, we're done with this code. We'll grab our Windows Update service. And this is the service name right here. Service name. The service name is actually called service name. And if we look, I actually have a repair tool for Windows Update. Like when viruses and other things kind of mess with it, you can see all of this update services right here. So cryptic directory service, app ID service, and bits. So this will actually disable Windows Update. But we're going to actually get rid of these things as well. Let's just copy that. Let's just take this. Should have done my Vim add-on here. Make it a little bit faster. Ah, well. Oops. All right. So those services will be set to disabled, and that'll basically kill Windows updates. So it'll take care of it through the registry, and then it'll also take care of it from the service perspective. But at the same time, we need to change that to be re-enabled. So disabled updates. Now we need to make the enabled updates, which we're just going to grab this and then set these same properties using the same function. And then we're just going to rename the function. Which did I? Oh, no, I didn't mess that up. And then we test it. So let's go through here. We're gonna go 0 for automatic updates. This is this default settings. Automatically download and notify for installation, not automatically schedule it. Because, what happened there? Okay. This is the default. All right. Schedule and notify. That's fine for notifying, but actually just forcing updates, there's rarely a time where I want to force an update. And we're going to leave delivery optimization at disabled. There's really no reason that should ever be enabled. And then we change the services to enabled. Did we change the function name though? Yeah, we didn't. All right. Let's change that. Enable updates. And I want to say this is automatic for startup type. Set service. Function set service. Can't remember. I'm pretty sure it's automatic, but let's just. Let's just make sure on that. Check the official documentation. Yeah, startup type is automatic. That's what I thought. Doesn't hurt to double check though. Paused. Stopped. So one thing we could also do, let's say this just doesn't work and Microsoft's on to me and they're like, we were gonna make sure we always have updates enabled. There's cool things you can do to trick Microsoft. One thing you could do is set the Surface and then just completely destroy the credentials on it to where the service, like give it some bogus credentials. So then the service will fail to authenticate to start because the credential service doesn't have privileges to the system. So therefore it can't do the updates. That would be one way of tricking it. That's pretty destructive and I don't want to do that way. But that's another way you could, there's so many different ways to just completely break a service in Windows. So that's another method you could use to break it. You could always boot into a Linux and just delete the service altogether if you wanted, but kind of cool. All right, so we have automatic delayed start, disabled, manual. All right. Perfect. Those are disabled, and we're gonna just go automatic, like so. So that takes them all and then re-enables them, puts them on automatic, and we're done with that. So this is the old script. We're gonna go ahead and close out. We're gonna take our new Posh GUI. Where are you at? We're going to go into the logic, I believe. Let's save this first. And we'll grab it from, I think, panel 1. We'll grab it from Brave, actually. We're just going to grab this section of it. It's pretty much all I want. That's why a lot of pull requests and other things that I get, I really can't use because they change the way the GUI looks, which kind of a bummer, but you know, the way it goes. I still appreciate a lot of people for contributing to the project. Oops. Alrighty, that should be the addition and everything we need. And what we're gonna do, let's just leave everything as it is. And we're gonna run it real fast. Let's just do an ls. And we're gonna run that win10 to bloat. We need to set our execution policy. Unrestricted. PowerShell is denied. And I start it from here with... hell with it. Alright, we'll just come back to here. Ooh, search deflector we still got to add too. Let's, we'll get to that here in a second. GitHub, win10. No. Oh, darn it. And then we're just gonna go win10. Did that? Where'd that go? That should have launched the script. Huh. That is odd. You know, I think at one point I removed this out because Windows read the script and I think it just denied it. I mean, that's what a virus would do, is disable Windows Update. Ooh, that might be... Because I used to disable Windows Defender, and man, I mean, heck, it still flagged my script as a virus half the time. So, ugh. Alright. Hey, what's up, Michael? Oh, Hikari's in the house, too. Do you recommend Mint 20.3 over LMDE? Just depends on... I probably would still stick with 2003. LMDE is pretty good, but... last time I tried it, there was a couple little bugs. Yeah, alright. Well, this was interesting. Terminal. I mean, I guess I could do that. But it's not going to allow me to run. I mean, I could elevate inside using like a run as. Oh, I don't have an admin powered password set, do I? Ah, poop. Alright. Would have liked to see a little bit more. Let's see the problems. Missing... Oh. Okay, never mind. We're not closing the bracket here. Ah. Oh, wait. Nope. I think it was actually that. All right. Buttons not designed. Never used. Error ICOs never used. Okay. I think I figured out the issue. Yeah, that was it. All right, so this would fix the laptops. Let's test that out. And then I just clicked that, so it won't enable numlock on startup, which I don't think this keyboard has a numlock, so it doesn't matter. Enable update services, disable. So let's first try to disable the services. I forgot to write any code to tell the user what's happening. That's so me. All right. Let's go. Oh, no. There's a right host there. Should be doing something. G update services. Okay. And this is why we test. That's yeah. let's change this. All right. Now, let's close that out again. Rerun it. Disable. Hmm. 1908 for the line. All right. Was it 1980? I think it was 1980. Yeah, 1980. Alrighty. Oh. Oopsies. Probably don't need to change these to something different, but I'm going to. Because these actually should be like a locally assigned variable for that function. But I don't like all those being the same variable. Disable. All right. 1981 now. What's or no. 1981 error and 2073 error. The update service. Services. Ooh, what? Ooh. What did I do with that? Let me look at the original code. I may have botched that copy paste, huh? Services. Service in services. Service. No. That's good. So yeah, de-update service in update services. So this is services. Service. What did I do there? Yeah, I mean, we're getting close to where Windows 10 and Windows 11, it's just like choose whichever you like. Windows 11's pretty pretty polished. Oh my gosh, Jessica, I hadn't seen you in forever. How you doing? Oh, Peter's in the house. Hey, Alex. It didn't show your text, but just wanted to take a peek. Will this allow me to completely disable updates? I know you don't like that. Also, stop this. Go play Serious Sam. I've actually been playing a lot of League of Legends on Twitch. I know, I'm 20 years old again. Actually, League of Legends went around when I was 20, but yeah. I've actually been having fun over there, just kind of playing games. But yes, it will allow complete disabling of services. If I'm curious to see power, they might have put stuff in to make this not a thing. Yeah, but I am thinking, let's just take this. Let's go services. This is a local variable anyways. It's not a big deal. Well, let's just simplify the syntax. I wanted a different variable, but whatever. Like I said, I don't think this should matter. I just want to kind of remove this issue. All right. Did that close? Huh, still working. Application identity servers cannot be configured due to the following: access is denied, script error, block 1. You know what? I think the syntax is correct. It's just denying access to application identity service. So let's take out that. You know, crypto service 2. Let's just do bits and Windows Update. I wanted to remove both those to do that, or just disable both, but that's fine. It's not the end of the world. Let's just try to simplify this a bit. I bet you they may have just put blocks in to keep people from doing this. Used to be very simple. Oh, yeah, all right. Setting it to automatic. Setting it to automatic. I forgot to change the code. Oops. Oh, that's beautiful. All right. This is the enable services. This is the disabled. Man, I'm telling you. Oh, I forget to get my caffeine drink from my fridge. That's what's up. I always joke with people. I was like, man, I can't believe people have paid me for 20 years to work before 10 a.m. I'm absolutely worthless before 10 a.m. I'm running at like 10% capacity, I think, in the morning. That's why I'm like, all the successful people in the world wake up at 6 a.m. I guess I'm just never going to be successful in that sense. No, I just am not I'm not a morning person. All the best work I've ever done, I've done it like super late at night. That's why like a lot of my videos, like a lot of people are like, I liked your earlier videos. It was because they were late at night, I think. And I was like really, really awake. Where a lot of my videos now get made in the morning. Let's see. Definitely something to do with that. That should be good. Let's close this guy out. And we're about to troubleshoot that. Disable. Bam. So, let's double check that. So if we go to Windows Update, it's stopped and it's set to manual. That didn't quite disable it, did it? Let's refresh. Ah, look at that. Disabled and stopped. And then if we come up to bits, background intelligent transfer service, it's a mouthful. This is what is used to download Windows updates. So if this service is disabled, then any applications that depend on bits, such as Windows Update or MSN Explorer. Oh my God, you guys remember MSN Explorer? See, you still see little bits in the old Windows code here. The back end, MSN Explorer, that's so great. You guys, if Microsoft ever watches this, you should probably take this out of your description. I don't think MSN Explorer is a thing anymore. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat. You will be unable to automatically download programs and other information. So that's why we disable bits. And we basically, by disabling bits, if it tries to re-enable Windows Update, it'll fail because bits is also disabled. So let's test this on a reboot, and the updates will be pretty much 86 at this point. So let's close all the tabs. Let's go update, disable, and enable updates completely. Numlock, laptop, keyboard, fix. We'll come back. We're not going to push this just yet. Let's do some more tests, and we're going to restart. One more thing too. I like a clean desktop. All right. Alex, some of my friends who I have to perform personal IT hate updates for some reasons. And this will save me a lot of headache. Yeah, I mean, I really don't recommend it just because it does open up a lot of security vulnerabilities. And I've been talking a little bit about vulnerabilities, but I think Windows users get a false sense of security. So I think on the next major exploit, I'm going to really showcase how to properly hack Windows. That's going to make a lot of people's systems vulnerable because people could use that video to hack a lot of Windows systems. But at the same time, it'll teach people the value of updates. Because I think so many people just do blanket statements. And I think if I just teach people how to hack into computers, specifically Windows computers, it'll make them go, hey, I really should update my computer because a script kiddie could just take this script that Titus made or grabbed and get into it. And that's where a lot of Windows vulnerabilities are. I always think a gifted hacker or a security researcher can get into anything, and those are never the people you have to worry about. It's when the work that they do gets copied by what's called a script kiddie, somebody that just downloads code. I would call myself a glorified script kiddie, where I'm able to take code, understand the code, modify it to my own needs. However, I don't write a whole lot from scratch, so I don't consider myself a programmer. And that's when you get dangerous, because then anybody can hack systems. And that's one thing. If it ever gets to that point, I'll make a video about it. So it'll make, I think, people a little less vulnerable, but also I think a little bit more aware. All right, so let's come into our settings, right? That's what we need here. Let's go into Windows Updates. Windows Updates is available. Maybe that was installed, downloaded. Oh, okay, no, cool. Updates have failed. Retry. Updates have failed. Oh, no, the updates are broketed. That's what my son used to say when he was really little. Broketed. I loved it. He also would say, like, ooh, gross, nasty. That was another fun one. I miss those days. A little bit. Windows updates. Disabled. Perfect. So we have effectively broken updates. Success. So let's re-enable those updates, right? Let's just come back into our documents, GitHub, Windows, and we're just gonna run that debloat script one more time before we do the commit. Enable updates. And we shouldn't even need to reboot. It should automatically kick the updates into high gear once we hit our settings, Windows Update, retry. Ah, yes. There we go. Now, I do set these to a little bit more sane settings. I'm not going to set them perfectly to defaults just because I think defaults are for crazy people. And I don't think any of you watching me are crazy. So what that means is when you do this, it won't automatically install the updates, or at least it shouldn't. Sometimes Microsoft pushes it, but yeah. Borketed. That's awesome. Let's see what happens. All right, let's let this run and see what happens with that. Crazy people use Windows. Oh no. I spill it. No, I think I'm good. I don't think you're crazy. Well, then the joke's on you. Oh, that's great. All right, so while this is installing, we already fixed Steam. Surge deflector, I think we set up. Let's see if that's working. On reboot? No, it's still doing Edge, man. Microsoft, man. Not cool, bro. I'll have to troubleshoot what's up with that. So that's gonna be a big update. Anytime it's a cumulative update, it's gonna be here for a hot minute. And I think it's been a month or two since I actually installed this. I need to do a custom install of Windows 11 ISOs. I don't think I've done that yet. Got a lot on Windows 10, but maybe I'll do NT Lite this time for folks. All right, well, let's publish this code. I think we can definitely say it works, and people should know not to disable updates, but I've told you not to do it. I said it's not recommended. Don't come crying to me if you get hacked, okay? I'm just gonna blanket statement there. Don't do it. But if you do want to do it, I made a button for you. So there you go. Because I've literally gotten like 2 or 3 emails a week saying, hey, I want to completely disable updates. And then I've gotten about 5 to 10 videos a week saying, hey, it flags your script or your executable as a virus. And I'm like, yeah, because I'm changing your system. That's very virus-esque in the way that it's modifying a system, and any antivirus is just not going to like the things that this script does. But yeah, most antiviruses I consider a virus. So we both hate each other. There's very few antiviruses I like. I've gone on this tangent many times, but yeah, let's not go there. Although I do want to say, Norton, McAfee, Kaspersky, I mean, we can go down the list. It's awful. There's so many awful antiviruses out there. Ugh. Those are the big 3 that I really, really hate. Shouldn't it stop with bits got re-enabled? So it installed, when I hit that enable updates button, Alex, it enabled bits and it also enabled Windows Update. So those are the 2 dependencies that kind of work in tandem with each other. Clam TK, it's okay. Not great, not bad. Yeah, I tell you. Yeah, Avast, awful. AVG, awful. How many more potential sponsorships can I flush down the toilet here? But it's true. I would never sponsor these people. They're awful. Yeah, here's a fun tidbit. Here's a good story about Avast. It was about 8 years ago. Avast launched a small business product. It was a Avast antivirus for small business, and it has a central administration point. I was like, oh, this is pretty good. Now, back in the early 2000s, I loved Symantec antivirus, but then it got bloated up and it turned into a virus itself, basically, as of how much the overhead was. So I moved from Symantec to Trend Micro in the late 2000s, and Trend Micro used to be really good back then. And then it kind of got bloated, and it wasn't able to identify viruses very well. And I was like, all right, I got to move off a Trend. So there was a little bit there where I was trying a bunch of them, and I tried Avast once, and it was the worst experience I've ever had with an antivirus, specifically their SMB product. They did an update to the Avast antivirus, and this is a pretty small business, like maybe 20, 30 users, right? And it ended up blue screening any computer that updated to that agent of Avast. Straight blue screen. Would not boot into the system because of the update. I was floored. I was like, are you kidding me? Luckily, I caught it in time before it got too out of hand. But from that point on, I was like, ugh, never again. Never again. Malwarebytes, Bitdefender, they're okay. I think Bitdefender's good. Malwarebytes is okay. I think Malwarebytes has kind of gotten down a peg or two. If you asked me about Malwarebytes like 5 or 6 years ago, I'd have been like, yeah, Malwarebytes. But these days, I'm like, meh. It's okay. It's better than nothing. I think it's good for scanning. I liked WebRoot, Secure Anywhere. I used that. That was actually pretty lightweight. I liked the lightweight aspect and the non-intrusiveness of it. It was not bad. ESET's a little bulky, but at least they have good detection rates. There's things I don't like about it, but it's not awful. I mean, there's not really many. I don't think there's one antivirus where I'm like, this is the antivirus you need to install. All of them have their pros and cons, and when it comes to antiviruses and browsers, I hate each one for a certain thing, or not hate, that's a strong word. I dislike aspects of each one in a certain way. Yeah, I mean, honestly, if you don't want to pay for a decent antivirus, just use the built-in one from Windows. That's like, I can't say that enough. Do not ever install a free antivirus. Ever. End of story. Like, that's just should never be a thing that crosses your mind. It's just a bad idea. So, yeah. All right. Well, that is a successful trip there. Some just have cons, yeah, like McAfee. I don't know. I don't think there's anything worse than McAfee out there. Yeah, I mean, and just like Patrick said, at the MSP we work at, we use WebRoot, and it's okay. I mean, I think they had a little bit of a vulnerability with a lot of the scripts that you could run through the central administration. And there's some other aspects of it that are less than ideal, but, you know, it's okay. Please register the easylinux.net after the stream. Okay, we'll do, Michael. That's the new forums that you set up, isn't it? I saw your email. I briefly clicked on it, and I meant to reply. I just haven't. Can you disable update driver only? Yes. If you want to do the disable update driver only, let's say you go deboot Windows. All right, we're going to try to run this script real fast just to make sure it pulled the latest update for us. We should see laptop and updates. Okay, cool. So if you only want to disable driver updates, go to the old system control panel, go to hardware, device installation settings, and click no. If you don't want to use my script to do this, here's another way of doing it. I always like to show people all the different ways of doing stuff. Just go start run systemdm.cpl. That'll launch you into your old system properties. From the old system properties, again, hardware, device install, and this is where, do you want to automatically download manufacturers' apps and custom icons for your devices? You should always say no. Definitely not. And that should, oh, oops, I'm not on the desktop. My bad, guys. My bad. Oops. All right, here we go. Yeah, there's your old systemdm.cpl, hardware, device installation settings. Make sure that's set to no. I think if my essential tweaks automatically sets it to no because you really shouldn't be using it. And then you could also just go to the website, use the script to do that exact same thing. If we go into here, click that, enter, launch the script, and old system panel, get you exactly where you need to go. Boom. Old sound panel, that's really beneficial. Old control panel, that gets you the Windows 7 control panel. And then all the update services right here. I should have probably pushed this up more. Whatever. I'm gonna just piss everybody off with OCD with that placement of the disable update button, but oh well. And that gets it done. What do y'all think? How was the update? Anything else that I missed that you guys would have liked to see on the update? Anything like that? I know some people have asked about like maybe a checkbox for installing software. I'll eventually maybe get around to it. It's just working with WinForms is pretty limiting, and I could put it into like a Visual C or a program like that, but I don't know. Not something that I'm like, oh, Dr. Solomon's. Remember when Dr. Watson, that executable was on almost every Windows install, and you're like, what the hell is this? What Linux do you recommend for gaming, not SteamOS? Just Arch. Arch is pretty good. Garuda, if you're new to Linux, could get you into trouble, but it'll probably start you off in a pretty good spot. But yeah, edge removal and its bloated pop-ups, man. J-Rock, once I get the silver bullet for that, man, I'm telling you, we're doing it. I hate Edge with a dire passion. It is awful. Don't use Edge. Oh, also, I should say this I should have probably started out the stream with this. If you use Edge, do not use my tool. I can't say that enough. My tool does not play friendly with Edge because Edge integrates tightly into the Windows operating system and its telemetry and tracking services. It's why they want you to use Edge, and that's where they get a lot of money from. So if you do use my tool to customize your Windows, Edge does not work properly, and you cannot set a lot of settings because I customized it. I didn't go out of my way to do anything with Edge. I didn't interface with Edge at all, or any of Edge's settings. However, again, Edge relies on a lot of system services, and therefore you cannot use my tool if you use Microsoft Edge. But having said all that, don't use Microsoft Edge. I don't care what you use. Firefox, Brave, Vivaldi, anything but Edge. Just don't. If you're a Windows user, don't use Edge. Ever. I can't emphasize that enough. Just no. Oh, Michael, you troll. Opera. Don't use Opera either. I'd rather use Edge than Opera. Oh, man. Netscape. Oh, man, if we could get Netscape back. I loved Netscape. Netscape back in the day was peak internet right there. I mean, I still miss the icon, just that globe with the line around it. It was amazing. It was so great. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to shut it down today. I think that was a pretty good stream. Covered pretty much everything I wanted to get to with the Windows script. I'm probably going to jump over on Twitch, play a little League of Legends over there. You're always welcome to jump in, say hello, see me sit there and try and play a game and rage quit. But past that, I think we're done here. Next week, probably do something else. Might revisit some stuff. I don't know yet what that's going to be, but just be looking on the main channel page. You can click my name to get to the main channel page, and you'll see upcoming live streams and kind of like the theory or the theme around the live stream, and we'll see how that goes. I am going to be using this version of Windows for a little bit now. Coming back into Windows 11 to kind of optimize a few things and make some videos. Specifically, the next videos I got coming out. Tomorrow's video is going to be about browsers. I don't know, just kind of a performance-based, what's the fastest browser in 2022 kind of thing. Spoiler, Google Chrome's the winner. Sad to say. I wasn't really happy with that, but hey, that's what it showed. And then, yeah, we'll go into custom Windows 11 ISOs, as I don't think there's very many tools out there that's supporting Windows 11 ISOs just yet. But I wanted to start stripping out Windows 11 and instead of just debloating it like we do with the script today, starting from a better place would be ideal. So creating our own ISO. Everyone always asks me about redistributing Windows 11 ISOs. I can't. It's against the EULA, and they will come after me and put me in prison if I do that. So not going to do that. But thank you guys so much for all the support you guys given me, the super chats today. I'm just going to re-look at that real fast. Just make sure. I think I just saw Alex in there and Michael, and I think I got most of those, but I just want to make sure I did not miss any. And YouTube's not showing on me any of them, but if I did miss any, I'm sorry. But I think that's about it for today. So thank you guys. See y'all in the next one, and yeah, should be fun. ARAM? No, I'm going full. I like Summoner's Rift, man. I'm jungle all the way. All right, guys, take it easy. Have a good one. Have a great weekend.